Hello ladies and gentlemen, Mighty Benaya here, and I'm coming to you with a brand new map. This is the Chatters map for March. I was actually asked by Yoey, one of the moderators for Supremacy, to join this match and cast it. So I really like the idea of Chatters maps because a lot of times when you're in like a 31 player map, you get half of the people that you're playing with drop out, or you don't have good communication with them. I'm actually continuing the 31 player map that I pulled up to show my beginning strat for the new mechanics. And I've not talked to anybody in that map for some time, even though I have an ally who is playing. There's just nobody that is continually active. And with Chatters maps, you have to go on to the forum and request to be added to the map. Sometimes you can work with the moderators through Discord and ask to be added. But regardless, it's an invitational map. And so people who are not active are usually not part of these maps. So it will typically be a lot more active play where you can engage with other players, and it's not just taking one AI out after another. And so I was a little bit hesitant at first because I wasn't sure when it was going to start and what I was going to have going on. But given that the spy games turned out the way that it did, I thought, you know what, I think it'd be a good opportunity for me to cast another game, and this one I should be able to cast on the long term. So I went ahead and joined, and I got Poland. Now, Poland is a really difficult nation to start off with on a 31 player map for a couple of reasons. First off, I have two double energy tiles and neither of them are oil. So probably the worst starting resources. I don't have any access to fish. So all I have is four single wheat tiles. I have two single wood tiles and a single iron tile. I don't have any access to the ocean, so I can't do anything with Navy. And my double tiles are for gas and coal is useful. And gas is more useful now than it was before, but neither of them are as pivotal as having iron, wheat, or oil in the late game. Or even, throughout the game. So starting resources are difficult at best. Additionally, I am surrounded by four different nations. So I have Lithuania here, I have Ukraine here, I have Austria-Hungary here, and Germany here. And most of my provinces border more than one nation. So I can't say abandon one flank because I have an ally and have a significant amount of troops to move to another flank, right? So tactically, it's difficult. I only have two spots that are not bordering at least one nation, and most of my spots are bordering two nations. So like this province is bordering both Lithuania and Ukraine. This province is bordering both Austria-Hungary and Ukraine. This province is bordering Germany and Austria-Hungary. I've got three provinces that border only Germany, but then these two provinces border both Germany and Lithuania. And so it's really difficult to bring troops over to where you need them. So because of that, I had to do a lot of thinking about what I wanted to do in the very beginning. I am going to continue with my typical strategy, with my new mechanics 31 player strategy, and that is I'm going to be building workshops early, and I'm going to be building cavalry early, even though I don't have the food to support it. And I want to take out a capital early. Well, Mighty Benaya, what type of capital are you going to take? There's no AIs near you. Originally, when I first joined this map, Germany was a player and Austria-Hungary was a player. Lithuania was not. And so my initial plan was, hey, I'm going to kill the Lithuanian capital. That will boost will boost my ability to produce units, boost my morale, and then I can take this double wheat to accommodate my cavalry, and then there's also some fish over here, so I can use that to help produce cavalry as well. But Lithuania joined as a player. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I can go after Ukraine. Well, Ukraine, same thing happened. And Ukraine's capital is way over here, so it's not going to be easy to attack. So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. Ukraine was one of the last people to join. So all of this came together before I figured it out. But I had two coalitions reach out to me in the very beginning. So Lithuania formed a coalition, and he hasn't said anything to me. He hasn't sent me any messages. He has invited me to his coalition, and he has shared map with me. I will even pull up he just sent shared map request. And he originally invited me to his coalition. I did not accept, but I didn't decline it. So he rescinded the invitation. And now I also have one from Ukraine. And then also the Ottomans reached out to me personally and said, hey, the Ottomans and Greece are in a coalition together, and they asked for me to be their third. And I said, I'm a little far away to be a third for you two, because that might make me a target. And in addition to that, I have to figure out how I'm going to survive, because I am in the middle of a lion's den, really. But I started looking around. This was before Ukraine had jumped in. I started looking around at Lithuania and Romania and Austria-Hungary and Germany and Italy and Greece and Turkey, and they're all low-level players, with the exception of Austria-Hungary and Romania. So Germany is level 1, and again, there's something going on where the leveling system is broken and people aren't getting experience. So they could have been playing for 5 or 6 months and they just aren't leveling, but that's still, somebody who's only been playing for several months versus somebody who's been playing consistently for a long time. You want to work with somebody who's been consistently playing for a long time. And GigaChad is level 1, and Voss Boss, and somebody once told me they're both level 1. Stack Daddy is level 1. I think Soulbinder is maybe level 3 or something like that. So very low level, with the exception of Austria-Hungary and Romania. So I reached out to Austria-Hungary and Romania and said, hey, if we band together, we could be a pretty significant force in Europe, because nobody else in Europe at the time had enough experience to have any levels over 7, other than the 3 of us. So I said, why don't we work together? So we've been working together, and after that happened, Ukraine and France joined in. Now France is an admiral. He has been playing this game for longer than me. He is an experienced individual, and we're going to have to watch out for him. Ukraine is about at my level, has been playing for about as long as I have, as far as I can tell. So going to have to watch that, but we have formed an alliance together. And right now, what the plan is, I'm going to talk a little bit about coalitions here in a second, but I want to go through our tactical strategy as of right now. So right now, I am going to go ahead and go after Lithuania. I hate going after new players, but it's the beginning of the game, and I am in a tactical situation where I have to make some headway somewhere, and that's the best place for me to do it. Romania is going to immediately conquer Sofia to deny Greece and the Ottomans from taking Sofia, from taking a capital, and boosting his morale, etc., etc. Austria-Hungary, I think, he has a couple of different options. He can take out Belgrade for the bonus and for the deny. He can theoretically stay neutral. He could go after these 2 provinces for Belgium. He could go after Italy, but I think what he's going to do is he's going to go after Germany. And so look at this. He's got borders with Romania, which is his ally. This province borders Ukraine, so he's going to need to keep some troops there. Limburg borders Ukraine. But he borders me, he borders Romania, and he borders an AI. And then there's his German front, and then just these 2 provinces that border Italy. And one of them borders Germany anyway, so he's going to need to have troops there. So he can take a lot of his troops and funnel them through Breslau, which borders me, frees up one of my flanks, and take Berlin really quickly. Especially, remember, the length of roads is important. So if he takes the road from Prague to Breslau, that's pretty short. And then he's got this long road that he can go all the way up to just the border of Berlin in his own territory. So he can book it really fast and then take Berlin, and he's cut off 2 territories and can finish Germany pretty quickly that way. So I think that's what Austria-Hungary's plan is as of right now. Game hasn't started yet. It will start in a few hours for me. So I will probably record tomorrow and let you all know what is going to happen. I have worked out with Germany that I am going to remove some of my troops from his border, and he is going to do the same. I have a more concentrated force. I can move through my provinces more quickly. So defensively, that can be helpful. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this province first, because that frees up this province to move up, right? Ukraine is a player. Before Ukraine started, I gave the AI right-of-way, and before I realized that it was a player, he had returned right-of-way to me. So I don't think he wants to come after me. I think that I'm safe there. I probably need to reach out to him and just, explain, hey, I gave right-of-way to the AI. I'm fine with keeping right-of-way between us as long as we don't want to come after each other, but that was why I gave it to you. But I think I should be able to pretty quickly eliminate this player and gain the wheat and the fish resources that I so desperately need. And then I've got just AIs up here. I can just head north. The closest player, other than obviously Ukraine, is Norway, but there's just all of this space to conquer. Caucasus might be problematic, but if I can get Caucasus and Ukraine to fight each other, then that makes my job a lot easier. And then I know that Greece and Turkey are likely planning on taking out AI, so they'll probably take out Syria. They may work on Bulgaria and on Serbia, but they're going to focus on AI. Outside of Europe, what is going to be interesting, Africa is a lot of high-level players. And so Africa is going to be just a war zone, and it's going to be very, very difficult. And honestly, Austria is probably going to have the worst of it. Austria and maybe Romania. If Romania heads south, Austria heads north, it'll probably be Romania that takes the southern portions. Mid-game, Romania is going to have a lot of difficulties with just the sheer firepower that these guys are going to put out because they know how to play the game. So that'll be interesting. That'll be something to watch out for. Obviously, we're going to watch out for Austria-Hungary and France. That is the end of the in-game analysis that I have for this game. So if you make it this far in the video, awesome. You can leave now if you're only interested in this game, but I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about coalitions, when to start a coalition, and when to not join a coalition, because it's something that has been applicable in this game for me especially. And I'll probably cut this and make it its own video at some point in the future. So for coalitions, there are 3 main reasons why you would join. There are 3 main sections of coalitions, things that coalitions impacts, right? There's the mechanics, what it actually does. There is the tactical impact of being in a coalition versus not being in a coalition. And then there's the social impact of being in a coalition versus not being in a coalition. And I'm going to handle those three separately because they relate to each other, but they're completely separate issues. So mechanically, what does a coalition do for you? And when should you join a coalition mechanically? Well, all a coalition does mechanically is it gives you shared map with everyone in the coalition. So on this map, it's up to 3 people in a coalition, and you can share map with the 2 other people in your coalition automatically. It's shared map. And then the other thing that it does is it tallies your points together. Instead of having 54 points, if I was in a coalition with Austria-Hungary and Romania, we would have 150 points or something like that. But that is all that it does. And then whenever your points are tallied together, it increases the threshold for victory it increases it to 150%. So instead of 1,000 points, you need to obtain 1,500 points. And it will rank you on the percentage of the way you are to your victory points. So theoretically, you could have more points than the person in first place as a coalition, but be in second place because the person in first place is one person, and the 3 of you have to gain more points to win. So mechanically, there really is no benefit to joining a coalition until the end of the game, because you can share map with your allies. And in fact, there is a mechanical liability to joining a coalition before the end of the game, and that is you can't have any positive relations. So you can't give right of way, you can't give shared map, you can't give shared intelligence with any nation in a coalition that is not your coalition if you are in a coalition. So if you're neutral, you can share map with anybody can share map with you. If you're in a coalition, you can only give right of way or share map with somebody who is not in a coalition. And so that's a liability. It's not always something that you don't want to give shared map with everybody when you're in a coalition, because that can be hazardous to your coalition. But sometimes it's really, really helpful when 2 coalitions are working together, right, to be able to give each other right of way. Hey, come through my land and take out this big enemy because they're a problem. And in order to accomplish that, you have to drop your coalition and then give right of way and then give shared map to everybody. So there are some liabilities mechanically. The second thing is tactically. So tactics is a big one here. If you are in a coalition, what is the difference between coalition and shared map? Well, there's not really a difference, except for the coalition is a limited number, and it's seemingly more important, not important, but more solidified than just a shared map, right? It has more weight to it. We are a band of brothers and we are in a coalition together. But mechanically, you can leave a coalition at any time and backstab your brother, backstab your former coalition mate. Now, I don't recommend doing that, but it's mechanically possible. So tactically, it gives you a little bit more solidity to your alliance, something a little bit more official. So were we in a coalition with Austria-Hungary and Romania in this case, I would have more of a reason to abandon my border than just shared map. Even though shared map is a lot of a reason, there's something a little bit more solid about a coalition. But people can use that against you. And so in the same token as it's a tactical advantage, it's also a tactical liability, because you're more willing to abandon your borders. And then if they decide that you're no longer worth being a coalition mate, they can kick you, or they can leave and then just invade you immediately. And so I don't recommend doing that, but tactically, being in a coalition is not of benefit. So why would we ever join a coalition before the end of the game? Well, it's the social aspect. So socially, what a coalition says to your coalition mates is less important than what it says to everyone around you. And this is the reason that I didn't want to join a coalition with Greece and Turkey. Being in a coalition means we are together, we are going to go to the end, and there are reserved slots. So in a 31-player map, you can't have 4 people in a coalition. You can't have 4 people share victory. So what it means is we're going to favor each other before anyone else in this map. And that can be really potent. It can be really good for you, especially if you're allied, if you're in a coalition with strong individuals and you yourself are pretty strong. Nobody's going to want to mess with you, or they're going to want to mess with you to take you down a peg because they know you're going to be a threat in the long run. And if you are within close proximity to each other, you can help each other out. You can, it's a social contract in that you can share each other's burdens. But if you are a nation away in the beginning of the game and you form a coalition immediately and one of you does really good, whether it is, just luck or skill or some combination thereof. Perhaps there was some gold mark usage and you got a leg up. Well, then the other people are hanging out in the wind, wanting to make sure that they are surviving well, and you become a target because you're in the first place. And other teams don't want you to do significantly better than them because that will hurt them in the long run. And so me joining Greece and Turkey doesn't make sense in this case because I'm already in a dangerous spot. But me joining with Austria makes complete sense because we have a shared border and we can go completely different directions. Romania can go south. Austria-Hungary can head north and can head west, and I can head north and east. And because we have a way that we can work out and not be in each other's way, we can also send backup to each other in case there are issues. That is a good coalition. So when do you start a coalition? When do you join a coalition? In my opinion, you want to start a coalition immediately when when the benefits outweigh the risks, and the benefits are announcing to the world, we are working together. And if announcing to the world we are working together means that Ukraine, in this case, is less likely to invade one of the 3 of us, then it's beneficial. But if announcing to the world, hey, we 3 are working together, means that that we're going to get immediately attacked from all sides, then it's probably not the best idea. So in this case, I'm thinking that we probably want to wait until day 5-ish to form a coalition. But we have shared map with each other. We know that we're working together. We know we're in a coalition. We're in a secret coalition, more or less. And there are more benefits to that in the early game than forming an official coalition, in my opinion. That's all I have to say on that. I am excited for this game. I'm excited to share it all with you all. If you have any comments or suggestions, this will be 7 days delayed. So I'm not going to share it with everybody immediately. I probably will share it with my coalition mates. But excited to take you on this trip. Soli Deo Gloria, and I'll see you next time.